You are listening to the Wildlife Photography Podcast with Rob Reed and Josh Galicki, bringing together the love of nature and photography.
Welcome to episode 39, where we talk about the crazy and the wacky. Rob, I feel so out of place given the first introductory lines to the podcast this time.
I've been on at you to do this for ages, and Josh always says, "Oh no, the British accent sounds so much better when you do the intro." But I forced him to do it this time because apart from anything else, he's got a better microphone because I've actually got a conference mic rather than the usual one because we've got a guest who's actually this is a podcast first where the guest is actually sat next to me because she's staying with me for a few days. So welcome to the podcast. Again, this is the third appearance, is it?
I think it's only the second.
No, it's the third. You've been on twice before.
Have I?
You have. So you're still in. Well, anyway, welcome to the podcast for the third time, Georgina Steytler.
Well, thank you for having me.
That's all right. You're welcome.
I suddenly feel like I'm lost for words.
I know you're simply.
Oh, I got crap. I'm so sorry. Might get a bit random.
If I get a bit more random than usual.
Yeah. Well, that was it.
And you are a bit, and this won't go out obviously until after the event, but we are recording it before because you had to come over a little bit before for us to get out and do some photography together. But the reason you're here, the reason you flew into London.
Well, I won a trip to London because I won a category of wildlife photographer of the year, which is
again.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Invertebrate category, invertebrate behavior. I mean, it's getting embarrassing because I'm supposed to be a bird. Invertebrate or how to take photos with a macro lens, but it's just, isn't it funny how things happen? So I actually decided to change my thing. I've changed it on social media to call myself an invertebrator. In recognition of my growing fascination with little creepy crawlies.
And the photograph was?
So it is before anyone gets there, hopefully, if they haven't seen it, because obviously this is going to be after. It's not something glamorous. It's just a very quirky little caterpillar called the mad caterpillar. And it's absolutely, in fact, insane. I first saw it a couple of years ago in a book about Australian moths and caterpillars, and I was looking at it and I was going, I saw this thing and I thought there is no way that caterpillar is in our bush because I would have noticed this thing. It is this caterpillar that keeps its old heads on its head like an old head totem pole. And we call it the mad caterpillar. I mean, it's just so crazy. And then the day before I came here last year for last year's awards, because I was highly commended again in the invertebrate category. I took the photo the night before I left. And when I got here, I said to Rob, check out this crazy little caterpillar. I finally found her. And then bugger me, when I won, I said to Rob, you're not going to believe this. Yeah, I'm coming over again.
I love the name of it. I think Mad Hatterpillar. I
was calling it the Mad Hatter. And then I realised online, I saw a QI episode. You know the show QI was set in front.
Yeah.
Well, they had it. They featured it on there. And they said it's called the Mad Caterpillar. And I was like, oh, my God.
Perfect.
It's perfect. Yeah.
It's the perfect name.
And I love it because I'm not that cool photographer, all the conservation and or the people who have these amazing wolves and the pet wolf. It's ridiculous. Because I've got this ridiculous little insect.
And then you sent me the pic when you got home. You sent me the picture.
Exercise.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah.
And actually, this is a good tip for people, funnily enough, is that Georgina sent me three versions?
Two versions.
Two versions she sent me and asked my opinion. And she did this with a few people, didn't she?
Yeah. I need one of them two of them were photographers. You were, and plus you.
He's not a photographer.
No,
I feel bad, Rob. I didn't get these images to even give any
we don't
feedback.
need
I'm
to.
feeling left out, Georgina.
Now you're feeling bad, aren't you? Messed it up.
actually, but he doesn't send me images, so what?
Well, that's true. This is true. I'm
You
gonna
can send me images, but I would actually love your opinion, just because. And I say to people, and I did it in a post recently, and people said, "Oh, that's a really good idea." So what I say to people is, what you do is you put someone on the spot, like you're. And first of all, let me just say very clearly, don't ask your mother, because I did that with my mum once, and I said, "What do you think of these photos?" I wanted to put them in a competition. She goes, "Yes, oh yes, that's lovely." And the next one, "Oh yes, that's lovely." And I get to about the third one, I asked a specific question about the image, and she goes, "Oh wait, I'll just go and put my glasses on." So don't ask it. But what I do is I will send a selection of photos to a variety of people. So don't put them on a photo forum and ask for opinions, because you'll get all these people picking, he's being very nitpicky and everything is very. What you want to do is you just send it to a group of people, some of them photographers, some of them not, and say, "I want your gut reaction." And you can either send two versions, say, which one do you prefer? Just your gut reaction, don't overthink it. Or if it's a selection of images, say 5 or 6 or 7 or something, and then say, which one's your favourite and which one's your least favourite? And then just ask them to do that without thinking it too hard. And what you will find is certain images will come to the top, float to the top, and certain images will always come at the bottom. And then that's a way of saying to yourself, well, okay, they really aren't as good as I thought. But it's been really good with Rob, because we can be really honest with each other. So if I send it to him. And what was happening with this image is when you see it, it's one of them has a light flare coming in, because I used a bit of fill flash, but he was the mad caterpillar.
Such a.
He's got little spines, right? All those little hollow spines, right, are full of a little slight venom. That is another defense mechanism. Yeah.
I didn't know that. You can
And
tell me
anyway,
that.
he was backlit by the setting sun, because when I originally went out, the camera was flat, right? So I had to go back to the house, charge the camera battery, and then by the time I got out, it was sunset. So I did him backlit, and I liked to try and I kind of quite liked the lens flare. So one of them had this lens flare and one of them didn't. And I wasn't sure, because I was personally in love with the lens flare, but there was something inside of me that was like, oh, maybe it's not right. So I sent it out, and it's really interesting because Rob, who's a photographer, the other two who are also photographers, and my sister, who's absolutely not a photographer, because she went to the Galapagos Islands and took photos with a mobile phone. Should be a criminal offence. Not you. They all said the one without the lens flare.
Interesting. And by the way, was it with the Laowa probe lens? Did you shoot this one with?
No. It was actually with my Olympus, because I still have my Olympus that I won back in the day with the
from
Bird Potty for the Portfolio Prize. Yeah. So I still have that Olympus, and I use it for macro now. So it was with that, and I know, you know how I have a pathological fear of flashes. This was the first time I'd actually tried to use a flash properly.
Well, there you go. And you do that as well.
Wow. But huge congratulations, Georgina. That's amazing. I can't wait to see. I'll have to watch it. I'll try to. They stream it live, right? So I'll try.
Don't get your expectations.
Oh, I'll be watching.
Yeah.
Sure. She says, don't watch. If you're watching, it's like.
Yeah.
Who's hosting this year? Is it Chris Packham again? I'm assuming he's running.
I'm assuming so, but he is in Cyprus. He might be arrested.
He has been arrested before.
Yeah, he's doing the noble thing at least. I mean, I'm totally with him.
What they're doing is really incredible, and I think that Cyprus will hate the negative attention.
Yeah.
Because when I was sharing it, I was making sure to tag all the Love Cyprus accounts and the Cyprus police and the Cyprus tourism. And if you can do stuff like that, it's really good to tag all of these things because most companies have someone monitoring their mentions in social media. So it's just adding that extra bit of thing and that extra pressure. You know, we may think, oh, we're not going to make a difference, but I tell you what, it all adds up.
Yeah, it does. It does. Every little bit of information or anything we can push out there, I think, is helpful, especially these days. I mean, as we were talking before, I mean, seems to sometimes be little hope, but maybe any little thing that we can do collectively is a good thing.
Yeah, here's the power of photography again as well.
Yeah.
You know, and the images that can back up those people that take action.
Yeah, absolutely.
Extremely powerful thing.
Well, we've gone astray from crazy and wacky, which is actually the title.
I know, it kind of got serious.
The mad caterpillar is definitely crazy, actually.
It is crazy. And that, I mean, the fact that you sent that to me and I had that reaction to that lens flare kind of gets me onto a point that you were mentioning about us getting attached to certain images that we think, oh, there's something a little bit different there. So you kind of fall in love with it. And then you lose a bit of objectivity about it. And then when somebody comes in and goes, well, no, actually, I don't like that for this reason or that reason, you then take a step back. It forces you to take a step back and go, actually, I probably got too wedded to that photograph because I just thought it was a little bit different, or that element in it that I liked perhaps isn't adding.
And you know what? I reckon if I put the one with the lens flare in, it definitely wouldn't have even.
No, it wouldn't.
Because now I look at it now and I can see that it's too much. It's complete distraction because the whole coolness about it is the insect and
what you were doing,
an arty photo kind of thing. Do you know what I mean?
And what were you doing? You were introducing an element that was distracting away from the main.
And when I get people to look at, you know, when we talk about post-processing, I think a lot of people go, oh, what do I got to do? I do clarity, I've got to do, I've got shadows, highlights and all that. But, you know, they get focused on what they do, but they don't look at the overall picture. So what I try and say to people is, first of all, what is your purpose when you're processing this image? What is the actual purpose? Now, it's got to be, you want to draw the viewer's attention to certain aspects of the photo, and you want to draw the viewer's attention away from any distraction. And you've got to identify where in the photo you want the viewer's eye to travel. And anything that is outside of that trajectory of where you want the viewer's eye to travel is a distraction. And you should minimize it. So and when I say minimize them, because you can't edit them out, you kind of like might reduce the highlights or something.
Yeah, so dodging and burning, right? Yeah.
You're doing it subtly, and you're not changing the overall thing, but you're just slightly emphasizing one bit over another. And I think that probably people can't see the wood for the trees because they get so lost up in the how do I denoise and how do I do this, and not thinking about their overall objective when what are you actually trying to achieve?
Yeah. What you just said, Georgina, and I've even mentioned this on a previous podcast, the ability to slightly dodge and burn is probably the best post-processing tool anyone can really utilize when it comes to image. I mean, noise reduction, sharpening, all that is important, but being able to play around with luminosity and guide the viewer's eye through a frame, such a powerful tool and very much overlooked too, I think.
Yeah.
I think it is because there's a lot of dudes with like 500 layers and stuff, and people get, and then people get stuck down into the different denoising technologies and stuff.
Yeah. And all the global adjustments. Most people just do global adjustments.
Can I just say on here, don't do global clarity. I always say, people, don't do global contrast and don't do global clarity. I do the tone curves and stuff, but clarity, especially with birds, on a clear background, it'll bring out a halo. So you've got to just avoid that.
Yeah. I mean, you were talking to me about that. Is it today?
I don't know it because I've done it. Yeah.
Because we were looking at some of the pictures that I'd taken.
I like to use clarity with black and white conversions. If I convert something to black and white, especially like elephants or any of the African stuff, and I beef clarity up like 35 points, it makes it nice and
it really affects the contrast, doesn't it?
Well, there are always exceptions, and black and white is one of those ones where you can go to town on contrast, clarity, everything, because you want
Yeah, we need to do a podcast on post-processing.
That would be fun, especially on black and white or even some specific things. And even some of these sliders, the more I think about it, like clarity is, I guess that's more of a micro contrast, right? Than generic contrast. But then there's texture, which is even more detailed.
I love that too.
I did this.
I love that.
Do you know what? I did this, I signed up to one of these, do you know that Lightroom Summit thing last year? And one of the talk speakers did a really good discussion of the different tools. And texture is the fine detail, clarity is the medium detail.
Okay.
And it must have been, and dehaze must be the bigger one.
Yeah,
It made a lot of sense. And I had never heard anyone explain those tools like that. And he was explaining when you use it, what kind of areas it will affect and stuff. And the other thing is with dehaze, because I never use it because it's so impactful, but he said you've got to reduce the saturation. And I realised, he's right. So a lot of the funkiness that comes with dehaze comes from an increase in the saturation that gets out of control. If you bring the saturation back, dehaze is actually really useful. I used to avoid it other than for clouds and stuff, but it's actually quite a good tool.
I don't use it enough. I know a lot of people use it almost on every image. They'll do a radial filter. They'll move the dehaze down to make it almost like blurrier, if you will, and then they'll warm it to make the same light, if you will.
But do you know what? I reckon declarifying or dehazing, reducing it like to blur, is actually not an acceptable adjustment for competition.
Kind of like the whole effect.
Exactly. If you like using the surface blur in Photoshop to get it, and I think. But how are you going to police that?
I mean, that's a whole can of worms, isn't it? I mean,
I can see your face screwing
up. You know what?
You could do it in the field, right? I mean, like I was just shooting with a 200 millimeter f2, which is the equivalent of somebody going out and like f8 and then like applying Gaussian blur in the background, right? So I'm actually doing it in camera. I don't know. It's kind of a philosophical way of thinking about it, but it's
interesting.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, that's a whole different discussion.
Josh, what I raised with Rob, this is off the track too, but that Olympus camera that I didn't realize you could do it. But what you can do is the image overlay, right? After you've taken the photos, you can select, and you can do this with the Nikon and stuff too, like you can select any two images in your camera roll and overlay them in camera. Mm-hmm. But the Olympus one saves it as a RAW.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so they're not even taken at the same time. They can be taken at all different times. And then they can save it, like as long as they're on the camera card, presumably you could take one you took 10 years ago, put it on the camera card. We could even get a photo, right, and then merge it with a RAW in the camera card. And I don't know, I haven't done it with a JPEG and a RAW in the image overlay. But if it saves that as a RAW, we've got a problem. Because also you can edit the RAW files in the camera. At the moment, if you edit the RAW file in the camera, it saves it as a JPEG. But what if they get to the point where they save that as a RAW? So very, very soon, we're going to be able to edit RAW files in camera, save them as a RAW. Well, then we're in trouble.
Yeah. Where do competitions go from there?
Yeah. How do you even tell what's... By the way, I will start with a crazy and wacky story when I was in the field, and that just reminded me, Georgina, what you were just saying. So there's this famous place in Maryland. It's called Conowingo Dam. And they call it the $1 Million Wall because everybody shows up with 600 millimeter lenses, pro camera bodies.
Osprey stuff?
Bald eagles. So in the winter, they're hunting and they're picking up fish because it's a hydroelectric dam, terrible for the environment. But, it stuns the fish as they come through and the eagles pick them up and everybody photographs them. I was there some years ago and we were all talking about Photoshop or Nik Effects, one of the plugins or, post-processing. And this guy came up to all of us. There was about 10 of us talking. And he comes up and he says, why are you all processing using a computer, using a laptop? And we're like, what are you talking about? He goes, all you need to do is process in camera. He goes, I'm going to show you how to do it. Bing, bing, bing. He played around with a few buttons, saturation. He goes, that's all you need. And that's it. And he walked away. And we're thinking, this guy is mad. He's completely crazy. He has no idea what the hell he's talking about. So maybe that was a window into the future, but we thought he was nuts because obviously it's a JPEG and you can't do much in camera. But
so without a computer, how the hell does it? It pushes them off.
He does his all his processing. You said
Real
that.
Wi-Fi, I suppose. Yeah.
He's British. He's stuck in the colonial.
He hasn't got a computer. How's he going to learn to use Wi-Fi?
You can use Wi-Fi. You can send it to your phone.
Well, I know that. But somebody hasn't got a computer. They're going to have a decent... Anyway, it's mad. He's mad.
Oh, yeah, I get what you say. But I think we're very soon there. And someone said, oh, but you can't clone. I said, yeah, but pretty soon you're going to be... You're not going to be able to do that on a camera. I said, yes, you are. You've got AR. You just say, take out the tree.
Yeah. Yeah.
Actually dead easy now.
We're talking like a couple of years away from this. We're not talking about like 10 years. We're talking about very, very, very soon.
I mean, obviously, what you can do with Photoshop and Lightroom now, it's just gone.
Oh, it's crazy.
I mean, it is freebie gone, isn't it? I mean, that's the thing. It's just click of a mouse, which is frightening. And so where is this going? But I said that's a whole nother...
Anyway, all right. Okay, what's wacky? Come on, what's another?
Well, but the reason you're here and the reason we decided we'd choose...
Oh, it's what I do with camera.
Because it's what you do best.
Oh, my God.
Right, okay, so this all starts with, when Josh and I did a podcast about...
treat their camera gear. And I said, how dare you guys do that episode without me? Because nobody treats their camera gear as bad as I do.
To be honest, that's true.
It's outrage. Oh, but the latest thing, you were asking about my lower lens, Josh. I've managed to snap it in two.
Oh, boy.
Because it was in the camera bag, and of course I don't zip it up properly, and I just pulled it out of the car, and then it fell onto this concrete, and then I saw it go into two parts, and I thought, "Ooh, this is not good."
Do you insure your gear, Georgina? Do you have an insurance policy?
I do, and I pay an expensive one. I think it's quite expensive, at least $50 a month, probably a bit more.
Yeah, that's like what mine is.
Yeah, and I'm definitely going to claim that on it. I've got to send it off when I get back and obviously get someone to see if it is fixable, but I doubt it. I think it's actually sheared off the bolts, But, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah. Oh, well, Rob was watching me tonight and we were photographing at a lake and there's a bit of a rail over the water and I perched my camera on top of the rail and I was using another camera and Rob kept going, can you just take that down? You better put that in. You're going to knock that in. She'll be right. And then I even forgot it was there, didn't I? And then Rob's like, that's it, I'm getting it.
I mean, it was just an accident waiting to happen. You just know it. I mean, anybody in my mind is not going to put a camera on the top of a rail where you only have to knock it slightly and it's in 6 feet of water. And in the end, I couldn't sit there and look at it any longer. I had to go over, take it off and put it somewhere safe.
Well, and then what happened last time I was here, of course?
Well, last time, oh, God. Last time. So anyway, we go to this other lake that's local to me, and you can photograph again from these like fishing platforms. And you have to, I normally photograph from the platform level. And oh no, Georgina's saying, no, Rob, you're doing it all wrong. You need to get low. And she's leaning over the platform because the platform's 2 feet above the water. And she's holding the camera a few inches above the water and she's composing the image through the screen, which is fine, quite smart. You don't understand what. But of course, the lens was, the concentration was on the back of the screen and not where the lens was in proximity to water. So there were a few occasions where the lens kind of dipped into the water just a little bit. And of course, when you've got the hood on, the water goes into the hood and then you lift the lens up and of course it swats back against the... And
it didn't matter for a while, was it? But by the end, after about an hour and a half, it started to mist up. But I didn't give up then, Josh. I thought, now I can get a really cool misty effect with these swans.
And you did it?
Yeah, I did. I got some pretty cool images.
And those people are mortified that this has happened.
Just get the hairdryer off. And I just went over it and then Bob's your uncle.
Was it been fine ever since?
Yeah, it's been fine.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
I have a problem with salt water in my cameras. I don't, I'll get salt all over the lens and the camera body. And then for years, I just get this white stuff that just comes out of the hole. I guess it's some sort of corrosion from the salt. The camera works fine, but I've had that problem for years. And somebody told me to put saran wrap, which is an interesting, or a plastic, or a cling wrap, I guess is the other term for it. To put cling wrap all over the camera body and the lens, and then you can obviously manipulate the buttons from there, and then you can actually, it seems really smart. You can stop the water from getting in, but I just don't prepare that much. I'm too lazy. I just grab my stuff.
And that's what, you're never intending to do any of these things. It's just that, and I find if I'm too prepared, it takes the joy out of the whole thing, doesn't it?
Yeah. And I think it's also doing those things are the things that make the difference between an okay shot and then getting a really good shot. It's just those little things that you're prepared to do and put the gear in jeopardy is the wrong expression really, but there's some risk involved in what you're doing with the gear in terms of water or mud or whatever it might be.
Well, I think these people who've got like perfect gear and it's never had any dirt or anything, and you see that they're so careful with it, like they've probably never done anything outside of the ordinary with it.
I agree. Yeah, that's not a good sign when everything looks perfect.
Yeah, mine's got things that I remember actually, I tell you what I did do though. When I was in Kenya, I borrowed the 600mm f4 with the 1.4 converter inbuilt from Australia. And when we were in the vehicle, and they gave me 2 Z8s to take with me as well. And when we're in the vehicle, I was sitting in the front and I closed the door and there was the radio in the middle and there was the door, and because it's long, right, it got sandwiched. And then I had to open, door to get it out, right? Anyway, later on, I noticed there's all these dead pixels in the corner of the LCG, and I think that must have been where the door, it took the pressure from between the door and there, and it killed the pixels in the top. And I had to explain that to me.
Oh yeah, that's right. Those were loaners, I guess, for the.
And like, well, we knew it was a risk with Georgina.
Yeah. Like your reputation preceded you.
I said, I've got insurance. They said, don't worry, they're insured as well.
Yeah. When you went to Japan recently, when you came back, and we spoke, you said, Rob, you're never going to believe this. What happened in Japan? You had a slight. Did you have an encounter with the law?
Sure.
This is Josh. This is
because that's what you do with photographers. You're driving along, and then you go, "Oh, that'd be nice to photograph." So you pull over onto the side of the road. Except that I'm not used to snow, right? And at least in Australia, there's a bit of a thing on the side of the road to pull over, but not in. The snow comes right up to the road, so you can't really see where the edge is. Anyway, I pulled over. Anyway, the 2 wheels of the car went down the bank because there was nothing underneath the snow, and then I couldn't get out. And I was in Hokkaido on some country road somewhere. But luckily I speak some Japanese, so I ring up. I thought, what am I going to do? And of course, this always happens on a Sunday when no one's working. Anyway, I ring up.
Except the police.
The local police station. Well, when I say the local, the nearest town. And then some police officer, and they're like, where are you? And I said, I've got no idea, because you look at the map and it's all in Chinese. When you phone it, I'm like, I don't know. And I'm like, but I was coming along this road. And anyway, they said, wait there, don't move. And actually, I stayed there, and then about 20 minutes later, this police car comes along. These 2 guys get out, and he was really cute, the one guy, but he had a helmet on in the car, and he was kind of like this chubby little. He was really, really sweet, and they were really, really kind. And then they had a look and everything, and then they said, well, and by then someone else had stopped and helped get my car out, but they said I had to stay there because I have to fill out all the insurance forms. And the thing was that in case it was damaged underneath, they said, we don't need to report it, but just in case it is, here's our number. They were really sweet. But they said, come and sit in the back of our police car while they're doing their notes, you know. So, and my husband's always saying to me, like, don't make jokes in the airport and stuff, because I have this terrible, terrible habit of saying dumb things, jokes at the most inappropriate moment. And then one of the things I had just learned from my host is how to say, you're much smarter than you look in Japanese. So this guy got my passport and they're going through all the documents and I go, and then he's chatting and I go, oh, and he said something and I went, oh, you're much smarter than you look in Japanese. And there's this moment and I'm thinking, abort, but it's too late. And there's just like this silence for a few seconds. And unfortunately, there's two of them, right? And the other guy laughed because the first one was a little bit serious. I was like, oh my God. Anyway, and then we kept chatting, right? And then they start saying, well, what did you do? And I said, I'm an entrepreneur. He goes, what did you do before that? I said, well, I was a lawyer. And he goes, oh, and he turns around and he says to me, you're much smarter than you look. And I just thought, oh, you know what? You can't script that. It was just, it was, and it just shows you how lovely the Japanese are, you know.
Yeah, I've always wanted to go there. At some point, I will get there, and Hokkaido especially.
I can take you because I speak Japanese, and I'll be happy to take you, and you can go around and you know.
Oh, that would be great because I only know Konnichiwa, and that's about it.
Yeah. There's a lot of them that do speak English these days. When I first went there, there was hardly anyone who spoke English, but now it's full of Chinese and Australian tourists. I think there's more Chinese and Australians than there are.
Well, we should all go.
Oh, we could go. We would have the best time.
I'd love to shoot the cranes and
I've done it all. I've worked it all out. And I was telling Rob, you know, that Ottawa Bridge, anyone listening, Hokkaido, don't bother getting there really early. The best thing you can do is get a little step ladder. As long as you can handhold your legs and you just get up on that step ladder because you want elevation because you're looking down at them. And also what happens is we got there at like 4:30 or something in the morning and there was already people had tripods all along the bridge. This is this famous bridge because where the cranes roost in the river at night and then they get up in the morning. And they had cable tied their tripods all along what happens is these tour buses come along, the photographers. Their tour leader goes out, sets all their tripods up in the best spots, like 3 a.m. in the morning. Then they all go back into their air-conditioned, like, accommodation.
Oh, wow.
And then you come along, and then all the best spots, they've already got their tripods cable tied.
Why don't you just cut the cable ties and
move it out, yeah.
Oh, and then, I mean, there was a guy there, and I managed to squeeze in, and I sat down low, kind of thing. It's the only way I could get in. And he came along, and then when they left all the cable ties there. They didn't even take them with them. They just, like, buggered off. And
oh, my God.
I know. And you know what? It's so awful, the whole thing. It's just not how you want photography to be. But I thought my biggest tip to people is you don't need to do that. As long as you can handhold, you just stand on a stool, go there when, you know, just because it was minus 16 degrees that morning. Get a stool, because this is what a Japanese guy did. He got his own little ladder. And then you just go to the back of everyone, and then you've got the best position anyway. He's 2 hours like that.
And this is the crazy thing, isn't it? When you go to these spots, which we're actually going to do later on in the week, because Georgina's here for 2 weeks, aren't you?
Yeah, and Rob said to me, it's a bird hide. And did David say this to Georgina? Oh, no, he doesn't know, does he? Like, you have to be quiet. And Rob goes to me, you do know bird hide etiquette, don't you? And I said, well, I do. However, I forget. With other people, I inevitably end up talking and then I inevitably end up laughing and then I inevitably end up scaring all the birds.
UK birders are really serious too. They are.
Yeah. Oh, bird hide. You absolutely do not want to take me to a bird hide.
Oh dear.
No, I will try.
Hang on. Should we record an episode 2 for when we actually come back from Norfolk and I can tell you all the horrors?
Too loud.
You're never too loud.
I'm too loud.
You're not too loud now. No, it's nothing. So anyway, we're going to we're going to
be quiet. I will try to. You have to remind.
all right. So we're going to Norfolk.
And don't talk to me.
Well, it's
When
nothing.
people talk to me when this becomes a problem because I get distracted.
Okay. What about talking to you on?
In fact, do you find that when you've got lots of birds, right, you're so focused on that, you don't even notice anything else.
Yeah, I mean,
you're locked in.
We do joke about you being loud because you are.
But I am, and I do. I've had people in workshops saying I'm scaring all the birds away. Oh, I had one when I was doing a workshop in Lamington, right? And there was this is National Park of Queensland, and there's this Albert's lyrebird, which is like one of these cool birds that you really want to see. And it's not that easy to see them. Anyway, I came across this Albert's lyrebird. I went like that,
and she literally does it.
And it took off.
Oh.
And then they all came over and they go, "Where is it?" I said, "Well, it's gone."
Well, I kid you not. If Georgina ever wanders off and you don't know where she is, don't worry. You know, it won't be long before they can locate her.
We were doing bird surveys in Outback Australia, and with this, and we were telling about. I said, "Oh well, I've got a whistle in case one of us in case they get lost." And then one of his other Twitterer, and he's very, very dry, and he never makes jokes. And he goes, and he said, his name's Frank. If you're listening, Frank, and he goes, "I wouldn't have thought you needed that." And you know, it took me the whole day because he never makes jokes. And I thought, what did he mean? And I suddenly realised what he meant.
So anyway, we're off to Norfolk because we want to see. Well, it was a perfect timing for you coming here to see the Snettisham Spectacular, which is basically the Wash, which is the huge tidal estuary in Norfolk. Certain times of the year, only happens a few days of the year where the tides, the spring tides, the high tides, are timed sort of early in the morning, and they push huge flocks of wading birds off of the mud flats in these huge sort of swirling murmurations of birds onto gravel pits behind, and it's something that a lot of people want to see. And it just so happened that the two best dates in the autumn were when Georgina was here. So I said, well, we've got to do that. So I booked to stay somewhere. So we're going out there for 3 days. We'll go and see David Tippling as well, and meet up with him, hopefully, while we're there. So we're going up to see that. But yeah, so that does involve perhaps going into a hide, but it will be busy. That's the thing. And I've heard you need to get there like super early in the morning, to get the best spots. And
you probably have to be there really early, because I was really shocked with the Ottawa Bridge in Japan.
So it's a similar thing, yeah.
Wow. Especially if it's a popular spot, I guess, right? I mean, there's Plus, you have birders and photographers. It's not just you have two groups that are interested in it.
But here's the thing: it's like if you queue up with everybody else, and you're going to get the same photographs as everybody else. If you then just hang back and try and do something a bit different, you may not get the best viewing spot or the most popular viewing spot, but you might get a different perspective. And maybe that's what we'll go for.
I find, we're talking about this today, weren't we, that we didn't have a lot of things to photograph because Rob took me somewhere where basically there was nothing living existing. And
it's called the UK.
This is the worst photographing spot in there. It's true that some of my best photos come when there's not an obvious subject matter, because it forces you to work harder. And if you have an obvious subject matter, you tend to just fall into the usual cliche ways of doing things.
Yeah,
so
that's a good point.
It's often the best photos and the different ones come when you are forced to use, different lens or shoot something you don't normally do or do it in a different way. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, if you're queuing up with everybody else and you go to the same spot and you're photographing the event in the same way as everybody else, you're not coming back with anything unique.
Not if you have an infrared.
Yeah.
Georgina's brought this infrared converted camera with her.
Oh, wow. I rarely have I seen infrared on birds. You might be on to something.
Well, and with your autumn foliage, Josh, because this is what I'm learning it, because I haven't used it before, like when it works and doesn't. And it works best on, like those weeping willows and the autumn foliage. So if you get like a black cormorant, that comes out as beautiful snow white, and then you have a black cormorant in there. Like the potential.
Yeah.
You've seen it, haven't you?
I have seen
We're just
it.
like
It's pretty
going,
amazing.
we've got, all we need is a bird. Like, it's like you take the photo of the seed and you go, if there was a bird in this would be the best photo.
It sounds like I'm not taking you places where there are birds. It isn't really.
Well, yeah, there have been a few birds, ducks, coots.
And, we've taken a few good pictures between us.
Yeah. We
have. Yeah. Anyway, we're getting
I'm
on.
sorry, Rob. I'm
feeling a bit,
No, we went to Stonehenge and we photographed the rocks.
that was funny.
Photographing Stonehenge and we're facing the other way.
That might be interesting with an infrared camera, right? I mean,
Yeah.
It would be really.
Oh my God, because the green grass would come out like white.
Yeah.
And if you had a rook in there with Stonehenge,
That would be good. Because
I think I gave you an idea. I think that might be worth it.
when Georgina came to stay last year, because I only live a few miles away from Stonehenge, and I said to her, oh, Stonehenge is just around the corner. Do you want to go and see it? I got this message back saying, duh.
it's like, what do you think? Like, it's famous. Like Neolithic.
So that's what we. So it's like what World Heritage Site. So what do two photographers do when they go to a World Heritage Site? They don't photograph a World Heritage Site. They photograph birds.
It's interesting because years ago, my husband and I did this, and I mean, like a long, long time ago, over 15, 20, almost 20 probably. We went up to this Mediterranean, Roman ruins of the Mediterranean, and there's photos of the group. It's quite funny. And they're all looking at this Roman ruin. And then there's me, and I'm looking in the opposite direction, photographing a lizard on a rock. That's the bird photographer, isn't it? Or the nature photographer.
The birds always come first. I mean, they do.
It's just like, and they have these awesome green lizards in the Mediterranean, and they sit on all the ruins. So it's very hard not to get distracted.
And I have to say, actually, Georgina says I take her to places where there's nothing to photograph.
Oh.
We went to a forest today, right? And we didn't even make it to the car park before I was told to stop, back up, stop the car. She gets out, and I tell you what, how long did we spend there today?
Hours, yeah.
2-3 hours, and we honestly didn't get further than 50 yards from the car.
Oh, but you know what? Neither has took these photos, and this points to the other thing that can happen is when it's too good. And this is what I read about Snedisham, but spectacular. Oh, did you? I don't think I saw your photos. Sorry, Rob. Do you ever do that, Josh, where you panic? Because sometimes there's so much, and then you panic that you're not going to take a photo that's going to be good enough for what you see around you because it's so good. And then
that
you're like,
happened to me.
Yeah.
Did it?
It just happened to me. Yeah. I totally know what you're talking, especially if it's like an expansive scene or it's something that, it just feels like a great moment, but you just can't frame it correctly, or you hold your camera up and it's like, this isn't what I'm feeling. I totally
you can't capture it, and it's almost worse, isn't it?
Yeah, Shetland was like that.
It's too much, isn't it?
Yeah.
I get sensory overload. I just go, this is too much. I can't deal with it. Like, I don't know what to focus on. I can't.
Yeah, and that's
especially if there's flocks of birds and lots of, there are just tons of subjects flying all around. It's like, how do you arrange it? How do you compose it? Normally, I just take a lot of photos and then I compose in post-processing. I pick the one I like and then I crop it. And it's hard to do.
Have you ever been asked? I've been asked so often, how do you get every bird in focus in a flock?
Mm.
Still not discovered. But it's one of those things, flocks of birds, people think, I'm going to get great back, but you don't, because either they're not close enough together, there's no subject separation, and then on the other hand, they're not close enough to overlapping enough to make a pleasing thing.
You can't control the composition,
and you can't control the composition, no.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
And it's a nightmare because
they're moving, you're moving.
And you can't get one on its own. They're always overlapping, but they're not overlapping enough to get one of these like good patterns across.
Yeah.
They almost have to be the no sky visible in amongst the flock.
Mm-hmm.
Do you find sort of too many subjects or an awesome location just very intimidating.
Yeah.
When you first get to it. And I've said this before, I think on the podcast, that you go somewhere like NOS, you just have to stop, put the camera down for a bit and just sort of drink it in for a while.
Yeah.
And then once you've got accustomed to what you're looking at, you then start formulating not a plan in your head, but
I'm incapable of doing it. Yeah, incapable.
So what do you do?
Just throw around like a headless chicken. Which is absolutely chaos.
It's screaming every now and again.
And nothing happened. It just completely,
We had that at NOS too, because there's thousands of gannets flying around, skuas and everyeverything else, and we're shooting, and then a seal jumped into the boat, which it was a big, I guess it was a great or and it was super cute, but it was quite intimidating at the same time. So I'm looking out of the corner of my eye.
He's got the fish, not me. He's got the fish.
Exactly.
The Sky's arrived. He's always worried about Georgina. Oh yeah, do I say he?
Yeah.
You know it.
You got your dog.
Oh my God, I'm sorry, Sky. Oh, that bit out. All got a bit chaotic. Where were we?
Oh, we were talking about big flocks of birds and chaos and everything else. And it's
the chaos arrived. Guys arrived. Yeah. Okay. Cool. I think flock photography. That must be, I guess, one of the hardest challenges. You reckon?
It is. I think it's really hard. Yeah. And I've got shots where I really loved it, and they're silhouetted. Too, unless you have that subject separation, and it's almost impossible to do.
And you're doing something like slow shutter.
Yeah.
That's better. Yeah.
Yeah, because you can get away with a bit more of that, but even that's quite hard. Because you'll think, I'm not quite sure about all that. Sorry, Sky's just ripping the headphones off. Because you're not. Nothing's ever quite perfect, is it? With those sorts of shots.
We sound English, don't we? We're never happy with anything. Sorry,
what do you mean? We're whinging again?
Yeah, we should call it the Englishman, the American, and
the Australia walk into a photography competition.
Yeah.
It's interesting though when you're talking about flocks. The one thing that we've seen a lot in competitions over the years, and I've always liked this image where you have, I guess it's starlings, and then you have a peregrine silhouette, and it's chasing the starlings, or you have that
circle around of no birds, and then all the big.
I've always been a sucker for that shot.
It could be a definition. Did Mike David say you could get, if the peregrine's around?
Yeah,
you could get.
Yeah, you could get that, because obviously with big flocks of birds, there will always be predators about. So it'd be interesting to see what.
Especially peregrines, right? They love shorebirds. They seem to always hang around.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be so exciting. But as you say,
but the pressure will be on, because
the pressure will be
such an iconic thing, and because you think I should get a good shot at this, but how are you going to get a good shot?
I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, what's more pleasing, getting a good shot, or what's easier, getting a good shot when you're not expecting anything, or getting a good shot when the pressure's on, when you're in a situation like that?
I actually think I prefer the situation where there's no expectation.
Yeah.
That's where I excel too, because I'm more relaxed than.
Yeah. I totally just lose my cool. It's really good. I just go into abject panic.
When you get to those sort of situations where you just can't decide how to approach something or which subject to pick, and then you end up falling between all these stools and not.
And the other thing is, we like to be creative in that. But every single one of us, I realised I've got an inner twitcher. And in Africa, it's like I say, I don't need to see new birds. But then when you are in a country and you see new birds, you want to get a sharp shot of it. You want to get the good ID shot. And so it's like it's like you have to get that before you can be creative, because, the idea of it'd be like if you had a fishing osprey and you never had a sharp shot of an osprey catching a fish. You're not going to start doing slow shutter with an osprey.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? You start with the obvious, don't you? And you start with getting those banker
I
shots.
suspect that's what we will do. We were talking about that today. We might fall into the trap of just wanting to capture it in the traditional way. And then you go back later and you say, at the end of the day, you have hundreds of photos like everyone else's, and you wish you had tried something a bit more different. So
yeah, I mean, fortunately, we've got 2 days because it happens over 2 mornings. So we're staying up there, and so we've got 2 shots at it. I also find that if you're shooting something or in a location that you don't know, you're doing it for the first time. That first session is almost exploratory. So you're just getting a feel for the place, and then you can go back and review what you've done, and then you can come up with more ideas for the next day. But you're relying on so many things. You're relying on the in this instance for the murmuration or that flock to act in the same way as it did the day before. You're also relying on the weather being as good or better or similar or whatever, and that doesn't always happen. So it's difficult.
you know what we haven't done today? We haven't talked about the weather. You have to talk about the weather, don't you?
I don't think I've ever talked about the weather. Have I on the podcast, Josh?
I don't think so. No.
I don't think so. Yeah. What's the weather in the UK been like, Georgina?
Funny, very odd.
Yeah, it has been.
We actually saw blue sky.
We did. Well, 2 days in a row, in fact.
Yeah.
Although it wasn't this morning, was it? Was it?
So how are things going over there, Josh?
Oh boy, that's a loaded question. Well, let's just stick to wildlife. Let's stick to wildlife. By the way,
photographically.
really quickly, I just sent you both an image that won an Esferico, which is an Italian photo competition, of an image taken at that wading bird site up in is it near Norfolk? Yeah, it's really wild. And what you were just saying, Georgina, it looks like a sunset image or a sunrise. The sun's coming over, and the entire frame is just filled with what we would say shorebirds, I guess, wading birds. And it's actually pretty cool. I've seen this done with penguins before, where you're at a penguin colony. It's just the penguin heads, like king penguins and whatnot. But this is just all shorebirds. It's a pretty cool shot. So it might give you an idea.
One of the stock shots.
People's photos to get ideas.
Well, one of the stock shots from that is where they land, because they're flushed off the mud flats because of the rising tide, and they go to these gravel pits behind, and they roost there, and then when they're in that roost, there is just thousands and thousands of it's pretty much single species. So you've got thousands of red knot, and then in amongst them you'll get the odd oyster catcher. So you'll get this contrast.
Yeah, that's nice.
The oyster catcher and that sort of dark plumage, that black plumage, will really stand out against. Yeah, and then this is what they do. So they get this sort of massive birds, the sea of birds, and then you'll get this contrast, which is where your eye goes to. Yeah, and that's what people will do. And then they'll try and photograph it in different ways, so slow shutter, so you get the motion and never have it. I mean, I've seen those shots, but never having been there, it's difficult to know what sort of environment you're dealing with, and do you know what I mean? To get the position right for that sort of thing, so you have to scope these things out first. So it's delving into the unknown. It's great to have people that that have done it, numerous times, and will give you hints and tips. But I mean, nothing beats going there yourself and seeing exactly what they're talking about, because so we're going to try.
Especially when you hear those birds all fly, like that din and that sound of the wing beats and everything. I've been to something similar over here with snow geese, because snow geese numbers have just they've just exploded over the years. And we have these huge aggregations in the wintertime and in the spring when they're migrating through. But you could just fill the frame and you just hear that din, of these snow geese. It's pretty amazing. I suspect that'll be similar. And I have to say, over the years, like even in Bird Photographer of the Year and some of the other competitions we've seen, I've always been a sucker for those. It's almost abstract, where the whole frame is just loaded with knots or godwits, and you have all those rich red tones and the bills too. They just add all the different lines and textures and stuff. It's really cool.
It is. I'm just
So you
looking
guys
at
have a
one.
lot of fun.
That's not the one you were talking about, though. It's got an oyster catcher in amongst all the knots. That looks
No, this
amazing.
one's something else, I think. There's a stretched wing in it.
And so they must have put black and white, and then they've kept it as
So there's lots of techniques for that sort of shot. But this is, I mean, when you touch on that, Josh, you touch on something that photography can't deliver, and that's those other sensory things that you experience at those moments. So those sounds, those smells, and
do you know that's the African? Have you been there with the African migration, Josh?
Well, when I was in Kenya, when was I there? It was early November, so I missed it. And we went there intentionally because we figured there'd be less crowds and, we deal with less people, but we missed the migration because we were just
we were there not when it was starting, and I say that because that's something you don't get in those photos. What you have are the noises, especially the male zebras, and what they do is there's like thousands of zebras, right? And the males just run around making I don't know what the noise is. And they're just running up and down. There's dust everywhere. The atmosphere is unbelievable. And it's also the noise because they're trying to protecting their females, whatever it is. And that, like you said, it's the atmosphere. No photo is ever going to replicate. I'll never forget it. It was just incredible.
Yeah. I mean, you think about the noise a loon makes, for example.
Yeah.
That haunting call of a loon. You can never get that from a photograph if you've never experienced been in that place and heard that sound. But for those of us that have been in those situations, have seen them, every time we see a photograph of a loon or whatever, then you're reminded of that sound.
Yeah.
But you have to experience it to get that.
Speaking of like crazy and wacky, the one sensation that is great that most people don't experience is the smell. And that's one thing you don't want people to experience. Yeah. I mean, some of these colonies, especially, you can
get it. But that's not something. I'll tell you the other wacky thing that people don't experience if you don't actually go there is how goddamn scary it can be just perching on the edge of those cliffs at Hermanus, for example.
Oh, yeah.
Where you just, to get a good view, you've actually got to be right on the edge. And then you're staring down 200 feet plus of just sheer drop. And the wind is just buffeting you. And that's just proper scary for me. If you've got, if you're not comfortable with heights, I'm okay with heights, but it's just that fear of, imminent death. If you put a foot wrong.
Don't you feel alive in that?
No, absolutely.
Really alive. And things like, in fact, I get a bit close to the edge. I know my husband used to get freak out.
Yeah. But it is that one step away from death makes you feel more alive type of. Yeah.
It's that kind of alive.
It is that sort of thing. But
really.
But when you see a photograph that's taken from the edge of a cliff like that, you don't get those emotions, you don't get those feelings, do you? Because you're removed from that situation. You're just seeing the result. And
that's a great point.
It's you don't appreciate these things until you've been there and you've done what other people have done and you've taken similar photographs. You then understand actually sometimes how scary it can be and how alive, and to Georgina's point, how alive you can feel.
What makes me feel the most alive in the field, I think, is wind. I don't know, like if you get just a crisp, cool wind and it hits your face, something about that. It's just, I don't know what it is, but
my favorite thing is being on a boat. Well, you want to talk about crazy. Well, not crazy, but it is like the worst experience, but also the best at the same time. Off Lord Howe, I've got this Buller's albatross shot, and it's quite interesting for a couple of reasons, but it's cropped, and the reason it's cropped is because I cropped off the wings because, of course, you're on this boat, pelagic boat, but that's not why it was. I was actually so seasick that the captain said he hadn't seen anyone throw up that much. And we were going out to see this place called Ball's Pyramid. And he said it was probably my vomit that was bringing in all the
Georgina Chum.
the thing is, they were so spectacular that, you get that 5 seconds between, and 10 seconds or 5 minutes after you throw it up where you feel really good. So then you grab the camera and then you take your photos and then you throw up again. You got to wait until you throw up again before you can do it again. And it was raining. But at the same time, you're like, oh my God, you're still trying to take photos. And I think that's kind of...
You really have to be into it.
Yeah, you do.
Oh, you do. And I've had other ones. I get seasick. I've got seasick snorkeling. I'm the only person I know who gets seasick snorkeling. I didn't even know you could.
I'm similar to you, Georgina. I get seasick pretty easily, and I went on a pelagic one time, and I turned green and but and it sucks because you have to go to the back and you're throwing up, and the diesel fumes are hitting you.
You can't go into the toilet because the toilet is like claustrophobic. It stinks like the diesel, and you're already so sick. I've laid on the bottom of the bed of the boat, right? Like laid on the floor. And other photographers are stepping over you. It's amazing how they don't even notice you. But they're going to do it. The rest of you are just acting like it's the best thing in the world.
You see, I've been the one stepping over you because I didn't get seasick.
It's half of the course, isn't it? Like, I'm sick of it, just step over you.
That's a superpower, especially for being on pelagics or birding, not getting seasick. I mean,
I've always been good in both.
I got seasick on a boat that wasn't even on the water. I went down below. It was on the shore, and then I was in this little cabin, and I said, I've got to get out of here. I was feeling, I know half of it's psychological, because once it's happened to you, you can't not think it.
That's the problem, I think. And I feel for
you always talk yourself into it,
Yeah, I feel for people that get ill, because unfortunately, I just never have.
And don't mind that one. People go out, whatever you do, don't look at your camera, because that's what you do. You take photos and then you look down to review the images, and that's
interesting. Yeah,
because it's like reading in a car.
Yeah.
So I say, do not do that. And the other thing, if you're a woman, don't bring a banana. The men go nuts. I was on this plane. First one I went out on, there were 3 of us women, and we all had a banana. And bananas are bad luck, and women are bad luck on the boat. And you should have seen the blokes feeling very, very much.
This is new information.
The same person. It was like the triple catastrophe, and the men were just having a heart attack.
I've never heard that one.
Wow.
Do you know why apparently it happened? Is because bananas go off and they spoil really quickly, so that would spoil everything else in the fruit
right.
fruit store. So that was why bananas were bad luck. I don't know why the women were. Maybe so.
Well, you learn something new every day.
Oh, I know. I'm a fountain of useless information.
so I'm finding out. Oh, God, I'm so glad I don't get seasick, though. That must be, I always feel sorry for people that, are hanging out the side of the boat and clearly looking.
Well, it happened to me in Africa when it wasn't the boat, though, it was the car, and I got sick. So when we get this an epic line shot, right? It's right there. And the rest of the group are photographing live. I'm on the other side of the vehicle throwing up outside the window.
Oh, boy. Was it just from driving it's the open air vehicle, right? So you must be pretty sensitive.
Yeah. I wasn't feeling 100%. I think because I'd been so emotionally run down for the previous few months. I was getting like nauseous every couple of weeks. I just have like half a day where I'd just suddenly be throwing up and everything. I think I was just catching every bug there was. So probably it was a bug or something. But yeah, it was just like, I felt really bad for the guy who had to clean the car because all the vomit was down the side, and I kept saying, anyway.
That's a podcast first, I think. Talking about vomit for so long, actually.
I know. Well, I am my ability to lower the conversation down to it's a pretty basic level.
That's one thing
before, you see, I'm an endless resource.
You are of entertainment.
That's a fear of mine too, and it's happened more times than I can count. Going on trips.
You're on a podcast.
Well, on this podcast. But just traveling and getting sick on the way to the location or coming, because your sleep schedule's off, you're eating something different, you're on the plane, and more often than not, sometimes you'll catch a cold or something, and then it just, it kind of inhibits the trip, at least in the beginning. And I'm always nervous about that. So,
and probably you should factor in some rest time when you get to I was talking today about being here, and I could feel the tiredness coming, and I thought I just need to have a rest, because I know that if I let it go too far, you just end up getting sick and everything like that, and you can't shake it.
Yeah, I mean that's good advice. I mean, I picked you up. Was it you? So you flew in from Perth,
Mm.
and
The 17-hour flight.
17 hours straight, and it landed at just before 5 a.m, wasn't it? So you and
I arrived bright-eyed and bushy-tailed because I slept for 12 hours on the plane. It's rough. Slept for 3 hours.
She did this last year, right? I'm thinking she's going to be really tired when she gets such plane. I'm sat there. I've had about 3 or 4 hours sleep, and so I had to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to come pick her up. And so she comes bounding it across the arrival sort of forecourt place. And I said, "Oh, you must be knackered." And she said, "Oh no, I've had a great sleep."
I slept for 12 hours straight on a flight. Yes, my husband, because I remember I went to sleep at 4 and I woke up and looked at my watch, it was 4. I said, "Have I been asleep for 12 hours?" And he's like, "Yes," because he's been awake for 12 hours. And it'd be nothing more irritating if you're awake than the person next to you sleeping the whole time.
So I didn't even ask her.
That's a superpower to sleep 12 hours on a plane. I can never do it. I just can't.
I am legendary in my family. I don't have a guilty conscience. You see,
I can sleep laying down, obviously, or in a chair, but it's something about those just the seats in these airplanes are just not comfortable for me. I can't do it.
It's so claustrophobic. That's the problem, I think.
I always put the air on me because I like having that direct air right on me. And also I figure there's all those things going around the plane, and if there's any smells in that, at least it's getting blown away.
Talking about flights and planes, the dreaded subject of baggage.
That's
lost
the worst.
baggage, or you're over the limit for the baggage, and then you're having to shove things around different bags.
You know what I do? Talking about gear, I put my big lenses, prime lenses, in the check-in luggage.
Wow.
Yeah, I've always done that, and you know what? I've done it everywhere and never had a problem. But the trick is to shove your clothes all around. They don't move.
Yeah.
Can't move.
Yeah.
Wow. I often wonder if they, maybe they're selling it now, something you can put your prime lenses in with like foam or, some sort of formal way to insulate it. Cause half the time when I get on a plane, I don't even want to bring my 600 anymore. I just want to have, 100 to 400 or a zoom and some small wide angle lenses, put it in a backpack and just be done with it. Cause I hate dealing with it.
Even this time I had all my lenses in the bag because it was overweight or something. And she said, you split it into 2 bags. And, but I've done it. But you know how you can get the 800mm, the Nikon one comes with I didn't bring it this time, but with a bag that you can put it in. Well, then you just shove all your knickers and your clothes around that. And that's like an insulation. And then that goes in the middle of the suitcase. And then you put your rest of your clothes all the way around.
Interesting way of getting around it.
I've always been scared to do that, but that it makes sense. Like, how much can they throw it around to, and get them to put a fragile sticker on it too, right? So
mind you, I did do it in Kenya, and then they were all talking about it like I was crazy. And then I was like, "Sure, you're right." And then my bag came out of the chute. It bounced. 600mm. Oh my God! I've never seen a bag bounce.
I've seen how those guys treat planes, and
I've been in places, I don't know if you've ever been, but I've been to some remote places where they say your bag's overweight, and then you give them $10 or $20, and
your bag's not overweight anymore.
Yeah, that's right.
You're going to be arrested now. That's corruption.
I know it pretty much. Yeah, you're right. This is true.
So no, they clearly weighed the bag incorrectly the first time, didn't they, Josh?
I agree. It was a shakedown, and I fell for it.
Okay.
Oh, they do that in some of those.
So what about lost baggage? Because you were telling me a story about lost baggage the other day. And talking about not you, other people on your trip? Losing bags?
What was that?
Yeah. She's going denying them.
What are you talking about?
Okay.
Okay. What trip are you talking about? What is that?
Was it Christmas Island or somewhere you went? You see, there you go. Now she remembers.
No, this is it, right? We had the tour. Claire, my friend Claire Greenwell, we do these workshops in Christmas Island. Anyway, it's an island off the coast of West Australia, and there's only one airline that flies there, Virgin, and they fly twice a week. We flew over there, and they said they can sometimes, if they have contractors and stuff on the island, they'll take luggage off the plane to let the stuff that the guys that have to go there go and all this stuff. So there's always a risk. So that's what they say. So we said put your essential stuff in your hand luggage, and and then what you got to do at the check-in, you say this is my priority bag, and then you might have a second bag or something that's not a priority bag. We got there, and Claire and I got our bags, and none of our workshop attendees got their bags, checked-in bags, none. Wow. And one of them had like a CPAP machine that they used to sleep, and he had medical issues. So anyway, I rang. This is a plug for not Virgin, and I rang. We kept ringing them during the week saying, well, can you get them on the next plane? Are they going to come on the next flight? Because there was a flight 3 days later. Can't make any guarantees. And, of course, you're dealing with this baggage handling agency that's American, I think, actually. Sorry, Josh. Sorry. Well, American.
It's okay.
Yeah, American. And, of course, you're not actually getting to the baggage handlers in the Perth airport who actually have the bags. Anyway, you keep leaving messages and you keep getting bobbed off and leaving details, and you never can talk to an actual person who's actually in the baggage storage facility in Perth. And we said, make sure it's on plane. It never arrived, not even medical equipment, because there was no CPAP machine on Christmas. They couldn't even get the medical equipment. Because I said, even if you get no one else's bag, get that. Anyway, so for the whole week of our workshop, none of them had their luggage.
Wow.
That is like a nightmare. And we ended up, so, I mean.
Everybody had the same outfit on for the whole week.
They did. And we shared some of our clothes, and then I think we did get a $50 voucher or something from Virgin.
That's it?
$50 a day. And let me give you the tip. If you ever it was $50 a day or something, and then you had to produce receipts. But here's the thing, right? When you put the claim in, we worked out, because some of us did it staggered, right, different times, they would reject your first request. And then if you sent back, and they'd give you an offer, right, of compensation. And if you rejected that, they then. So we said to everyone, if you're going to put the claim in, reject their first offer. They're shits, aren't they? Because they should have, do you know what I mean? They didn't deliver any of. And it gets worse, because when we arrived back at Perth Airport, because we said, okay, we haven't got our bags. You make sure they're there when we arrive, because some people had connecting flights. I get there early. I got off the plane first. So I went there. They only had 3 of our bags there. They hadn't even got all of them out. And then one of them was there, and her husband's like a Qantas pilot, and they had one of these electronic luggage tags. So they knew the bag was in that area, right?
Wow.
And they were telling them they couldn't find it. And they said, well, our thing's saying it's here. So they said, well, we can't find it. And then they went to open the back door. And then they go, that's our bag. And they could see it through the door. And it's like, oh, my God.
Yeah, that's bad. That's bad.
So, I think this is airline companies now. They contract out everything. Nobody, single person is responsible for anything. And nobody.
Yeah. Traveling is a lot harder than it used to be, I think, just, obviously from so many things, but it's crazy story. I wasn't a part of this. Thankfully, it was all snuffed out already, but it was a location. It was a destination photography shoot that I went there, and I was there with a group, and the guides told me that there was just a big issue that happened, and they finally figured it out. So there was this tour company. It was during COVID, and this is when COVID was pretty high. You had a test to get into a country and to leave a country. So what would happen is you'd have a big photography group. They were getting ready to leave. They'd give everybody a COVID test, and they would say, you're all positive. They would lie, and they'd show the thing and say, oh, everybody's positive. You have to go to the hotel here, and you have to stay for a couple days until you're negative. So the company had a deal with the hotel, right? And they send everybody to the hotel for whatever it was, 3, 4, or 5 days, because they were all supposedly positive for COVID, and they split the profits with the hotel room, for everybody paying, right? And then they also had a scam that developed where people would just then pay them extra money for them to say they were negative, even though maybe they were negative all along, for them to leave early, right? So they had this whole gambit set up, which is really sad when you think about it, because you're thinking you're going to go home, and then all of a sudden, and that's when COVID, it was kind of newer at the time. Well, it was at the beginning.
Yeah.
I think this was 2020 or 2021.
And actually, how many people are going to get anxious to the fact that they think they've got COVID?
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, that's the worst bit of it.
But we'll just talk about data, but nothing surprises me about humans anymore.
No. And all the scams that go on. I mean, you must have come across things where there is this sort of unwritten, almost tax, almost to go and do something, or you can't possibly do that, unless we bend the rules for you a little bit by, if you've got enough money.
Yeah.
Well, it's a bit pressing in Africa as well, because there's a lot of very, very wealthy tourists, and they just, their vehicles just go anywhere. So the rest of, you got to stay on the road, and then you'll just see this vehicle go, they've got special clearance, like they're really inevitably wealthy.
They'll pay the rangers to go with them. The rangers will just let it have it.
And they can pay off the people to show them a leopard or a cheetah or something like that. So, and that's interesting in wildlife photography, because a lot of the photos that get into like wildlife photography of the year, some of them are like a lot of it's African, right? And then you wonder, well, how much,
what's the access?
What's the chances of getting that kind of shot on a normal tour versus people who've gone and, so it's inevitably you're going to favour people who are paying more money or cutting corners.
A particularly time of day, presumably, because a lot of these times.
You have to come back before sunset.
Yeah, exactly. So
you have to pay extra, and then as you're going out of the park, all these vehicles are coming in from people who've paid money because they want to be there after hours.
I learned that the hard way. We were in Amboseli shooting. We had an amazing, it was elephants with Kilimanjaro, and it was sunset. And the driver's like, we have to leave. I'm like, what are you talking about? We have to leave. This is incredible. Like, we got to get back. And then I learned the lesson. But we had.
And I wonder whether they do. I wonder why they won't make it a bit later, just after sunset. And I bet you it's because they're getting money from people to stay longer. So they deliberately close it.
It's premium access.
Because it's only like half an hour difference or something. So I reckon they must do it because they must have a second rate for people who pay more to be there at the best time.
Yep. And we had a really wealthy, famous photographer staying at the camp that we were at when we were in Amboseli. And this person had, concierge service, access to the conservatory, which is the other, piece next to it that's not part of, I guess, the national park. And at the time it was Craig and what's the other tusker? The one, did Craig die? It was Craig and the other big tusker. And they were tracking the tuskers for this photographer, and they were able to get this person right up on the ground, laying so, and it's all about access and money and for some of these places, which.
And that's a bit sad, I find, especially with wildlife photography.
It's not democratic always.
No, and it's a bit sad that kind of some of those images you do wonder, like it's a wide angle right up with lines or something, and you think, how ethical is that actually to get that close, especially when they're,
Yeah, and people want these images, don't they? Because they want to replicate what they've seen before or what they've seen winning competitions, and of course,
monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah. Exactly. It's exactly that mentality, and then if these competitions keep promoting these images by through, wind.
It's kind of one of the things I don't like nesting bird photography. A lot of people say to me, it's because, but I could take that photo and I'm not hurting the birds. And I said, well, that's not the issue, actually, most of the time. The issue is that when you do allow it, you get idiots who go up and they go right up to the nest with a mobile phone.
And
it's really good. We want to get the same photo. So even if you did all the right thing, the problem is it's the act of sharing that encourages others who are not. And history has shown time and time again, when you allow it, you end up with people doing terrible things to these birds.
Yeah, I mean, it is just a sort of replication, isn't it, of what you see.
That's why they tend to have these blanket rules, because you've got, well, why is it such a blanket rule? And the problem is, if you're an administrator, like for a cop, it's just too hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's okay to do it there, but it's not okay to do this.
It's like clothing, isn't it? It's exactly like clothing.
Yeah.
People say, why can't you clothe?
Yeah.
I've only taken a little bit out.
Because where do you draw the line?
Yeah, where do you stop?
It's just too hard.
I've got to police this, so it's easy to say, you can't.
That's it. Yeah, and I think a lot of people misunderstand it, because a lot of people get upset about it because I think it's so unfair. But
a lot of those wide angle shots too of like African mammals, they've become so common now. I think people are just like, whatever. It doesn't have the same impact as it used to. Most people aren't.
Although, I don't know, when you're doing comps, they're still pretty impactful, those photos, I find.
Yeah, I've seen many of them over the years. You know what I did when we were in Kenya, because we couldn't get out of the vehicle? I asked the guys, so I took a cheap Canon, what was it, a Rebel, and I got like one of those Jobu kind of little tripods with the flexible legs.
Oh yeah,
and I attached it to the grill of the Land Cruiser. So I had it on there, and because things will pass and right by, and I just had a remote trigger. So I would just. But the problem was there was so much dust and everything else caked on it. It was abstract at best, but I was proud of my idea. It didn't work out.
You know what? You get claustrophobic in Kenya. You get claustrophobic because you can't get out of the vehicle. And then we dropped a sandbag or something, and someone had to get it. And I'm like, oh, get it off. It's like, oh, you get desperate.
It's funny, isn't it, when you get into those situations, and I hate the restriction of those. You almost feel as though somebody is just sort of squeezing the creative energy out of you, because you can't.
Yeah.
There's just so many things you've got to abide by. I really don't.
I'd feel more in control if I was able to drive the vehicle. I don't know why. Like I could back it up and move it around, and versus just being in that.
And that's the thing. One of the things about those things is you've got to be quiet. You got to say to the drivers, and especially as a tour leader, you have to make sure you're putting people in the best position. So you got to say to the driver, no, you need to keep moving back, or we need to go further back. And, as like the animals are moving, you want to keep the sun behind. Can we just go back? So you've got to kind of keep on top of that, because they don't know.
And you find that people have you're dealing with a group of people.
Oh, some people
they've all got different angles. Yeah, they've all got different angles, and they've all got different ideas of the shots they want. So they all want different things.
And I had to say to people in the end, if you finish taking photos, just sit down or tell us, because what will happen is you're waiting thinking someone's taking a photo, and they just keep taking photos because they're not really aware that everybody else is waiting for them. So it's quite interesting as a tour thing. You've got to really be on top of that, because you've got to think of everyone and say, okay, has everyone finished? Right, we can move, and tell the driver, because the poor driver doesn't know what, he's got all these people.
I flipped my lid once in that same situation, Georgina. We were in Kenya. Actually, we're in Samburu, and we had a leopard family with an impala kill at sunset, and the sun was going down. We're perfectly positioned, right? The trees there, and I'm shooting, and then all of a sudden, the driver says, somebody broke down the road. We have to go help them. They were Maasai, and they wanted to help. And I said, this has to wait. I mean, we're afraid. No. So we pulled out of position, and we went, and they helped this vehicle that got stuck, and I lost that whole shoot. And maybe it was just being, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't have been that way, but I flipped my lid. I was like, come on, this is ridiculous. You pay all that money to be there. Yeah. And, literally it was a 5 to 10 minute window that we lost, right? Some ball was going down, but it's kind of what it is, I guess. But that's the part of being in a vehicle, and you're not in control, and there's other people.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And actually these days I'd love to go to the Falklands or something like that, but part of me doesn't really. I'd rather go somewhere where people aren't all going, and I'd rather go somewhere where, actually it's almost like the more people go, the less I want to do it myself. That's really true, because when you get to Africa, it's so incredible. The animals are so amazing.
Yeah, it's different to sort of juggle with, really, isn't it? That sort of thing. I'm with you. I want to create something new for
Or
myself.
like a mad caterpillar that's right in your backyard.
Yeah.
I mean that is Joel joking aside, that is
Oh, well, people want to get. AJ, this is the funniest thing you get, right? They want to take competition images, don't they?
Yeah.
You're not going to get them on a safari. The chance of getting on an Antarctic cruise, any of these is very, very low because you're on a schedule. You don't have the time. You're actually, every image I've ever had that's been a competition image is almost certainly been taken in my, vicinity of where I live. Because you've got the time. And if you take the moment to research what's there and observe behaviour, you get really amazing shots there. And you just don't, it's a fallacy. People think they're going to go on these things, are going to make shots. It's just too hard. And often you just try ID shots. You don't have time to start thinking about this and that, and get something original. You just don't.
Yeah. You're not going to be Federico Veronesi because he lives in Nairobi and he shoots. You know what I mean? You're going there once a year for a couple of days. There's no way you're going to get those.
I mean, every now and then someone does get something, but you think the volume. There's something like 100,000 people go to Antarctica every year.
Wow,
and that's crazy.
No, that's how many.
Wow, that's crazy.
With all the it's just, and then honestly, you see one penguin shot, you're going to have to do something bloody amazing. I've seen 100,000 million shots.
I mean, that's the crazy thing, isn't it? I mean, when you think so,
hey, you're going to have to come up with something really good to beat the puffin shots.
Don't. I mean, everybody loves a puffin, and they're great. They're great to photograph, aren't they?
Yeah.
Let's face it.
Well, I don't know because I'm going to photograph, but I'm taking word.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. But God, I photographed something you have.
Great. No, actually, I would have photographed before you because in Alaska, 25 years ago, I saw a puffin in the distance. In Valdez.
Didn't photograph it, though, did you?
I think I probably did, but it was on slide film, so it doesn't count. And it was a dot on the ice, to be fair.
But what's the point I was making? Oh, right, you interrupted me.
Puffins, you said, although they are nice to photograph.
Yeah, they are nice to photograph.
But you get a lot of them. You had a lot of them in bird potty, didn't you?
God.
Did you get that? Because when I did competitions in Australia, it's like, I don't want to see another rainbow lorikeet. I want to see another New Holland honeyeater. And I tell people in my workshops, and it's always terrible because everybody loves the osprey. And I said, don't show me an osprey with a fish unless it's something really, really amazing because I don't see that many ospreys with fish.
Yeah, right, okay. So we talked about this before, but competition images, kingfishers, diving kingfishers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the cliche shots, diving kingfishers, puffins in pretty much any guides, although there are ways of photographing all these things.
Someone always comes up with something and you go, wow.
And that's, you see, that is the key to it. It's like all those iconic
do you have
species.
The discipline to go to a puffin colony and not take
again? This is no,
because you want. I mean, I would be there taking the normal shot photo of puffins because I've never seen a puffin.
But I mean, they're just too cute not to do it.
Yeah.
Unless you've done it like a million times and you have so many of those things on your hard drive. But if you come up with a different way of portraying that species, you're going to do well because the species is instantly recognizable because it's saturated and because everybody loves them. But if you can add in that extra element by doing it in a way that nobody's seen before, then that makes it unique. And we keep going back to the gannet shot, the underwater gannet shot.
You're right. And if you do look at a lot of the images, if you look at the species that have won the most awards, you probably find it's things like cormorants, egrets, ravens, owls, like really common species.
Yeah.
Are often the ones, and people do come up with amazing ways of photographing them.
Mute swans.
Yeah. You definitely mute swans.
They're everywhere, but so you can kind of get.
How many different ways have we photographed mute swans over the last 2 days?
So now we're doing, Josh. We've done the slow blur. So now we're doing the slow blur through vegetation.
Okay, that's cool.
We're doing it in infrared.
Well, you are. But
I think the infrared's a good idea with birds. I think that's pretty cool. I can't wait to.
I said,
no, it's a brilliant
it's got
idea.
to the stage where when I went back to my normal camera, I'm like, it's weird, didn't I?
You did.
I'm freaking out.
But I mean, I think we've taken more. We've put mute swans, maybe the thing we've photographed.
Yeah, but they're so photogenic. It's
Well,
so
they are.
elegant, the shape in there.
But the different shots that we've got, all right, I know a lot of the sort of close-up detail shots people have done before, but we have come up with different ways of photographing.
He's saying that because Rob thinks he's got a really killer shot today of a swan foot.
I'll tell you, it's a good job this isn't videoed as well. Just running baggers out. It's because you were looking elsewhere and I was merely pointing it out.
And you only noticed it because I said there's a leech on his foot.
And it did then crawl up its body and into its feathers. It was horrible.
Oh, really? A leech on the swan?
I know. It's creepy.
That's pretty wacky.
Yeah, that was. Yeah.
It's always wacky as your man.
It's good behavior to capture, though, I guess, right? Leech on the.
It was difficult.
It was a small leech.
Yeah, it was. Anyway, so mute swans. Probably a good place to leave it, isn't it? Mute swan.
Yeah.
Probably.
Picture. Yep, I know. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, awards. The WPY.
Yep.
In a few days' time.
Oh, yes. Oh, it's going to be exciting, but I've got to find a dress. I still haven't actually got a dress.
Talking about wacky things.
Yeah.
Right, I get this email. This is wacky, right? Was it 2 days before you?
Yeah.
You sent me this email.
Yeah. Do you have any dress shops?
Do I have dry cleaners? Do I have any dry cleaners near me? Or dress shop?
Well, in my defense, right, I did have a dress I thought I could wear that I bought without trying on a long time ago because of the colour. Anyway, I tried it on, Josh. I put this dress on. I go and show my husband and my mother. I walk into the room and they both burst into laughter.
My God.
It's like a giant blue cat. Oh my God. Oh, wait a minute. That's when the panic set in. I was like, this is not going to do. Anyway, my friend Claire, she's hilarious because every time I show her a terrible photo of myself, she goes, wear black. All she says is wear black. So I said, I just want a black dress now.
So I said to Georgina,
Rob, yeah, he goes, I always go here. He goes, that's where I always get my dresses.
Hey, you know what I'm thinking, actually, speaking of WPY, so Georgina, if you're a category winner, you're going to be up in the running then for wildlife photographer of the year.
No. Rob was saying that, but I said it's not that kind of image, Josh. And that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not even any, I'm not being humble.
I mean,
it's actually not, it's just a quirky insect and with amazing behaviour, but it's not the kind of thing that, I mean, you look at wildlife, there'll be some image that's just, it'll be a penguin on the nose of a dolphin or something, it'll be something incredible.
They love behavior wildlife photographer of the year, right? It's a lot of momentary, interesting behavior.
Ah, yes. And last year, I remember this Spanish photographer he goes, this is a competition for behavior. He said the European photographer one is for art. He goes, I prefer the art. It was with his Spanish flourish, but I tell you, those Spaniards are so good.
He said that when he was winning the award. He said that?
He didn't win an award. He was in it. He was a category winner, but that's what he said, yeah. But he's right. It is behaviour.
He's right.
That's why behaviour trumps. And I think people don't often realise that.
Yeah, and I think it's the message that they want to put out, isn't it? It's never really been known for.
Some images are very artistic. Yeah, Yuri's image was beautiful.
It was. You're right. But when you look back through the history of it, it's not an art competition.
And also, it's strong focus on conservation, so a lot of it tend to be endangered species.
Yeah.
Or something.
And I get the reason why. So, but different competitions have different flavors.
Yep.
And I think there's a space for all of us.
You've been there, haven't you, Josh?
No, never been.
You had one in.
No, that's the one that's alluded. It's funny. I I had one that was chosen and got disqualified,
Oh, no.
unfortunately. Yeah, it was in the bird category, and it was, 2 skimmers, eating a fish. They, like, had their bills crossed, but it was in bird photographer of the year, and they noticed it. And they
Ah,
said that there was some rule that it can't win. Anyhow, you can't be in another competition or whatever.
yeah, and even
And,
even highly commended or something you can't have. Yeah.
yeah, and that image was only commended, and so I didn't wanna argue, but I just said, "Well, this wasn't a winner, it was just commended," but
Well, that's what I mean. Sometimes they include commended, but I think they might have done away with that now, actually, or have they?
I wish they never wish they never messaged me because I would have never known about it. I was
I
like,
know.
Oh,
What
so
did they tell you? That's awful.
yeah.
That's like Brett Charman. Brett said he got one in, and then he couldn't find the rule.
Oh, no. They
Oh,
had
Oh my
it's like
God.
a car.
football.
But actually, I've got a second image highly commended, haven't I? So
Yeah.
I've actually got 2 in, Josh.
Oh, that's amazing, Georgina. That's
I know,
awesome.
and that one's a bird. So I was so relieved that there was a bird. I was like, thank God, because I'm supposed to be a bird photographer.
And you keep winning with invertebrates.
I kept winning with it.
Well, I think just take it, to be honest. Got to take a win, haven't you?
Yeah, I remember with the rolling mud dog wasp, everyone thought I was a wasp expert after that. And I'd get all these questions, and I had to keep saying, I actually don't know anything.
I'm just photographs
It's
it.
really embarrassing. It's actually quite embarrassing. So I think I got a bit of a complex after that because, but like with my bee ones, I was happy with that because I love those bees, and I went 3 years in a row, and I feel like they're my babies. Like I go there and I tell them that I met their great grandfather. Because each year is a new generation, right? So it's like
Yeah.
I knew their parents and their grandparents. I mean, not that individual bee, but you know.
He's what I got to put up with.
You're gonna have a fun 2 weeks. It's gonna be great. Tell me about it.
We're
I don't need a sedative up.
Well, yeah, probably several
What time
bottles.
is it? You
6:00.
in the morning?
6:15. No, in the evening.
Oh, I was going to say, Jesus.
Anyway, shall we leave it
Yeah,
there?
better let you guys get to bed. I know
Yeah.
it's late over there, so.
Let's leave it there. So anyway, go on, do the finishing bit, Josh, because I'm going to edit this a fair bit, I think.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you all for listening. Georgina, thanks for joining us. This was a lot of fun, and huge congratulations on Wildlife Photography of the Year. 2 images and the category winner included. That's amazing. So can't wait to watch it. And thank you all for listening, and we will talk to you all soon. Oh, and remember, buy us a coffee. We got a lot of a decent amount of donations so far for coffee. So thank you so much for your support. If you like this podcast, we do it for free. We do it on our own time. Throw us a couple bucks, buy us a coffee if you appreciate it. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Rob.
Bye.
Cheers.
Thanks.
You have been listening to the Wildlife Photography Podcast. If you have enjoyed the content, then please help us to spread the word by sharing a link on your social media platforms, giving us a like, and leaving us a comment. See you all again next time.